Oh, for goodness sake, there, Bolo. People always want answers. They want answers there, Bolo. People want answers. It's not a problem. We can obviously provide the answers. We can obviously provide the answers. Now let's go outside, you little bastard. Excuse the language. You have been naughty emptying the bin. And we'll let you off for that there, Bolo. We'll let you off for emptying the bin. But today we have a story about your friend. Do you remember your friend? You know the guy? You know the guy? Wow. Your friend we're talking about today, who has all the answers. Which is pretty crazy stuff when you think about it. Bolo, for goodness sake, don't empty that bin again. Little bastard. So initially it was very important to gain Gaston's respect. He'd come over from France and he'd basically been almost eaten. All his family were slaughtered and eaten by very hungry French people. But he had a very important message and I had to, you know, try to bond with him, and this was his way of doing it. And I appreciate it really because, you know, my hair could probably do with a little bit more slime in it anyway, and but it was very intense and I was quite afraid.
Oh, I thought we were friends. We are friends. Please, you go, please. No, go. I'm the master. For goodness sake, no, that way. Please. Go. For goodness sake. Please, you're showing me up.
So basically Gaston was born in France, but after a couple of weeks he moved to the Himalayas, and that's why he's teaching me this breathing technique, because obviously he's good and used to altitude. But when he came back to France, things were quite horrendous for him. Initially it was very flat from the top of Everest, and this is the story he's going to tell us about France proving the world's actually not round. But his story is also a very sad one, and you know, he lost his whole family to French people, and that's why he's emigrated to England. And so I hope we can all be a little bit diverse and accept him. But this tale will actually prove from Gaston that the world isn't spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, as the majority do believe, which is quite sad, really. So Gaston had to travel quite a long way to, you know, get away from France, but he did manage it, thank goodness. He's very skillful, but he was very sad because he missed one of his friends who had survived. He knew he'd survived, actually. His friend was called Lumiere, and he was still in France. Now, when Gaston got to Dover, the White Cliffs, he actually got up to the top of the White Cliff, and it was a very clear day. There wasn't much humidity in the air, and he actually could see Gaston waving at him with his foot from France, which was 27 miles away. And this is how the story goes. Fat Lumiere was Gaston's best friend. He lived in Calais and he wanted to go with Gaston. Unfortunately, he was very greedy and he was very slow because he was quite fat. You'd think that would be a good reason to actually get away from France and the French people, but Lumiere seemed to be quite pleased just to sort of hang around and, you know, wait until the daylight to see if he could see his friend Gaston. So he decided to make sure that the aggressive worms in the area were dealt with. And in all fairness, I don't think Gaston was that bothered because Lumiere was very slow because he was fat, and also Gaston was vegan now. Anyway, Lumiere was in Calais and the day was coming up, and it was about 59 foot that he was at in Calais, which is very nice. Whereas obviously Gaston had made it to England, where he was safe for a little bit anyway. Now the cliffs of Dover in England are about 300 foot, so you know, basically that's the height where he was. And he was looking over, which he did do the next day, and he saw Lumiere. Now he was very pleased to see Lumiere because there was not a great deal of moisture in the air, so he could see Lumiere pretty clearly. However, on a ball Earth, if you look at this, even though they're about 27 miles apart, well, at 30 miles you can see a curvature of 600 foot. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, but, well, I think we can all agree that basically it would be very hard for, you know, for Gaston to be able to see Lumiere across 27 miles, or let's say 30 miles of a curvature of 600 foot, for goodness sake. What I'm basically saying is, from what you've just seen, say France, say 60 foot, say England, I don't know, 400 foot. That's 460 foot we've got to play with. But we need to find 600 effing foot. And I don't use that F word lightly, because a snail only has 1 foot. And we're talking about trying to play around with 460 and trying to make it up to 600 foot of curvature. So if anybody ever tells you that they can see France from England on a clear day, they're obviously talking absolute poo, because you can't do that on a ball Earth. And if you don't believe me, just have a little look at this one more time. Anyway, until the next time, be good, take care, God bless, and goodbye.